I had mute on. Sorry, let me restart. Yeah, y'all love me, don't you? Anyway, from true crime confessions to mystical meditations, from late night rants to motivational mantras, it feels like everybody's got a mic and something to say. Podcasting used to be a niche. Now it's a revolution, a movement, a multi-billion-dollar content machine where your next favorite voice might be streaming from a closet or climbing the charts on Spotify. But here's the question. When everyone's a host, who's really being heard? Today on Trending Tuesday, the podcast boom. Is everyone a host now? We're unpacking the culture shift, the creative floodgates, and what it means when the internet becomes a million voices, all competing to be the one in your earbuds. Grab your headphones. It's about to get loud.
following is rated TV MA and is intended only for mature audiences. Viewer discretion advised.
Good morning, good afternoon, or whatever beautiful moment you find yourself in. Welcome to Talk Radio, where real talk meets the real you. I'm your host, Jonathan Riley, and this is Season 2, Episode 93, better known as Trending Tuesday. Your favorite day of the week to pause, breathe, and think just a little deeper about the culture we're all living in together. Today is May 20th, 2025, and folks, we are officially 38.36% of the way through the year. Not the yay through the year, but the way through the year. That's 20 weeks, 140 days, or for my fellow night owls and insomniacs, that's 3,360 hours, 201,600 minutes, and a wild 12,096,000 seconds into the journey that is 2025. Can you feel it? The days are stacking up. The world keeps spinning. And here we are, not just watching it all unfold, but shaping it. Because talk radio isn't just a show, it's a checkpoint, a space to check in with yourself, to challenge the headlines, to reframe the trends, and to reclaim your own voice in the chaos. Today's episode, it's a special one. We're diving into the rabbit holes of pulp culture, media burnout, streaming fatigue, the ever-growing pile of must-watch content, and what all of this says about us, not just as consumers, but as creators, thinkers, and human beings navigating in that digital world that never sleeps. So, wherever you are, in the car, at work, curled up in the bed with some coffee, or pacing the floor in your own head, you're in the right place. Because it's Tuesday, it's trending, and it's time to talk. So let me ask you a question. When was the last time someone said, "Hey, I just started a podcast. You should check it out"? If you're like me, probably yesterday, or 5 minutes ago, maybe even right now as you're reading this, or listening to this. Ha, reading this. Ha, ha. That part of my script there. The podcast boom is undeniably real. We're talking over 5 million podcasts worldwide, more than 150 million episodes and counting. Topics ranging from true crime and pop culture to underwater basket weaving and pet psychic readings. Yes, that's the thing. Podcasting has evolved from a niche for hobbyists, techies, and underground storytellers to a mainstream platform, a digital stage where everyone from celebrities to your neighbor is now stepping up to the mic. In 2020, during the height of the pandemic, podcasts became a lifeline, a creative outlet, a community builder, a business tool. But even as life returned to a new kind of normal, the mics stayed on. Why the boom? Let's break it down. Number one, the barriers are gone. You no longer need a studio, a sound engineer, or radio credentials. All you need is a smartphone, a free hosting platform, and a voice. Number two, your voice is your brand. In a world flooded with visual content, audio offers intimacy. It's personal, it's portable, it's you, unfiltered, authentic, and direct in someone's ear during their commute, their jog, or their midnight anxiety scroll. Number three, monetization and influence. People aren't just podcasting for fun anymore. Podcasts are becoming media empires, from Patreon subscriptions to brand sponsorships. People are making real money, or at least trying to. Number 4, niche is the new mainstream. You don't have to appeal to everyone. If you're in the 90s anime nostalgia, Scandinavian crime fiction, or conspiracy theories about pigeons being drones, there's a podcast or 3 for you. That hyper focus has made podcasting a tribe magnet. But here's the twist, the real question. Is this a revolution or just more noise? With so many podcasts launching daily, are we in the middle of a golden age of self-expression? Or are we drowning in the sea of half-baked conversations and abandoned pilot episodes? Are listeners overwhelmed by options? Is it harder than ever to stand out? And most importantly, what makes a podcast worth listening to anymore? Let's talk about it. Are you a podcaster? Why did you start? What shows do you still make time for? And is it possible we are headed for a podcast correction, where only the strong, the unique, and the consistent survive? Drop your thoughts in the chat. Send me an email, talkradiotrending@gmail.com. Let's separate the signal from the noise together. Now we're going to go into the rise by the numbers. Podcasting isn't new, but the growth since 2020, that's a rocket ship. We've gone from niche hobbyists with mics in closets to a global audio empire. Today there are over 5 million podcasts worldwide and more than 70 million episodes floating around in the digital ether. That's enough audio to drown in if you tried to binge it all. In the US alone, over 60% of the population has listened to a podcast in the past year. That's not just a stat, that's cultural momentum. And it's not just true crime and comedy anymore. Podcasts are replacing newspapers, replacing talk radio. Oh, no, there's no replacing talk radio. Let's get that straight, because this is talk radio right here. Talk radio ain't going nowhere. Even in some cases, replacing video. And this is video as well. So it's not going nowhere. But, especially for Gen Z and millennials, who are increasingly turning to podcasts for news, advice, entertainment, and even therapy. Because what do podcasts offer that other formats don't? On-demand intimacy. It's personal, unfiltered, real. You can clean your kitchen, walk your dog, doom scroll TikTok, and still feel like you're part of a deep, meaningful conversation. It's like eavesdropping on a world you're invited into. But here's the paradox. With so many shows, so many voices, so many niches, where do the listeners go? How do you stand out when everyone has a podcast, a mic, and a story to tell? In a sea of content, attention is currency, and discovery is the new challenge. Coming up next, we're diving into the strategy, what makes a podcast cut through the noise, and how creators are fighting to be heard. So, everyone's a host. Welcome to the age where everyone's a host. Seriously, it's wild out here. Whether you're a licensed therapist, a stand-up comedian, or just your neighbor who finally got a decent mic and a burning opinion, there's a platform waiting for you. Think about it. There are podcasts that literally about anything, literally everything, from cringeworthy dating disaster stories that make you feel less alone, to obsessive deep dives into Star Wars lore that could put any encyclopedia to shame. You've got weekly rants on suburban HOA drama. Yes, that oddly specific soap opera unfolding in cul-de-sacs across America. And don't even get me started on the newest wave, AI-generated hosts running 24/7 commentary channels, mixing news, entertainment, and random hot takes, all without ever needing a coffee break. The barrier to entry, practically non-existent. Got a phone? Got an opinion? Congratulations, you're a content creator now. But here's the thing, with everyone shouting into the void, is this really a golden age of democratized voices? A place where unheard perspectives finally get their spotlight? Or are we hurtling towards an overload? A collapse where listeners are drowning in so much noise they can't separate the signal from the static. How do we find what's truly worth our time? Who decides what deserves our ears in this infinite sea of content? Is the explosion of voices a sign of healthy creative chaos? Or is it just chaos? And personally, do you feel empowered by this abundance or overwhelmed? Stick around because this question is bigger than any one of us. It's about how we listen in the modern world and what that means for the future of conversation itself. The good, the bad, and the reality. Let's be real for a moment. Podcasting is incredible. It's one of the most empowering forms of media out there. A space where voices that were once shut out or overlooked can finally be heard loud and clear. Whether it's someone sharing their personal story, an expert breaking down complex topics, or a community coming together around shared passions. Podcasting has opened doors in ways traditional media never did. It's educational too, from learning new languages to navigating personal finance to diving into history or science. Podcasts have become classrooms without walls. And the best part, you decide what, when, and how you want to learn. And let's not forget the therapeutic power of it all. For hosts, podcasting can be a form of self-expression and healing, a way to process life's chaos and find clarity. For listeners, it can be a comforting companion on lonely nights, a source of motivation during tough days, or just a friend whispering encouragement in your ear when you need it most. But, and here's the truth, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Podcasting can sometimes feel like a popularity contest where loudness and numbers overshadow authenticity. It can become a relentless grind, churning out episode after episode, week after week, often with little to no reward or recognition. And let's be honest, in a sea of thousands upon thousands of shows, the landscape can blur together, making it hard to find those genuine, unique voices that truly resonate. So here's the question I want to leave with you today. What makes a podcast worth your time? Is it the slick production, the polished sound quality that feels like you're in a studio? Is it the authenticity of the host, the raw, unfiltered truth that feels like a conversation with an old friend? Is it the relatability of the content, topics that echo your own struggles, joys, and curiosity? Or maybe it's something deeper. Maybe it's simply the feeling that someone sees you, that even in the vast universe of voices, there's a connection, a human thread that reaches out through your earbuds, reminding you you're not alone. In the end, that might be the real power of podcasting, connection. Because when you feel seen and heard, even by a stranger, it changes everything. So next time you hit play, ask yourself, what am I really seeking? And what podcast will truly answer that? As we scroll, swipe, and stream through our busy days, let's pause for a moment and remember, it's not just about having a mic in your hand. It's about having something meaningful to say. It's about sharing a piece of your truth, your story, your spark, and just as important, knowing when to listen. Because sometimes the best conversations happen in the quiet moments between the words. Do you have a podcast that lights up your world? Or maybe you're the voice behind one, crafting stories and conversations that matter. I'd love to hear about it. Drop your favorites or your own show in the comments below, or shoot us an email at talkradiotrending@gmail.com. Who knows? You might just get a shout out on the air next week, helping your passion reach even more ears. And hey, if you've been on the fence about starting your own podcast, consider this your official permission slip. Go for it. Make it real, make it yours, not just another voice in the noise. There's space for your story here. I'm Jonathan Riley, and you've been listening to Talk Radio, Trending Tuesday. Thanks for being a part of this conversation. Let's keep the dialogue flowing, the stories coming, and the truth talking, one episode at a time. So, until next time, and I mean next time by tomorrow night, Wedgie Wednesday, one of the favorites of the week. A lot of people, I get more views on Wedgie Wednesday, I think, than the most other weekdays. It's something about that wacky Wedgie Wednesday day that can make people be like, I want to go watch that. Okay, so tomorrow night, Wedgie Wednesday, stay tuned, stay curious, stay kind, and keep trending toward what matters, because in the end, a voice is a voice. You know, with so many podcasters out there, you got to either try to be original, come up with some weird stuff to talk about and do, or just be yourself and hope for the best and work on gaining an audience and building that audience and that community with your viewers and have a good time doing it. In the end, it should be about having a good time and talking about things you like to talk about and discussing things that are on your heart or on your mind and just letting it out and hopefully being there for somebody in the future, you know. Say, like on a Motivational Monday, if I'm talking about something, maybe it touches somebody and, you know, it makes them feel better or it does something to help them. That is kind of like a big thing that I look forward to. It's hearing from people saying, you know, your podcast touched me or your podcast did this to me or whatever. I mean, it's a video podcast, even though, well, I've started putting audio podcasts out too over on Spotify, so check that out as well. So, with that being said, I will talk to you guys tomorrow night. Wedgie Wednesday. Have a good next 24 hours. And much love and gravy sauce, and talk to y'all later.